Video. Let's get my video. Here we go. And we are live here today with our good friend BL Blankenship and our guest for today, Mr. Chuck Dixon. Welcome, Mr. Dixon. Here his QR code. Anyone who wants to get it to chuckdixon.com, I believe. Am I correct?
.net, I believe.
.net. Yes, it is .net. .net. It's the QR goes to .net. Everybody can join and see who Mr. Dixon is about. I'm sure we don't have to say who he's about. He's a very famous individual, as Ben has explained to me. I'm a novice in comics. I'm getting into the comic industry through Ben. I appreciate everybody's patience. Yeah.
I'm comic book famous, which is 2 steps below jazz famous.
And we have another guest. Hopefully he'll pop in, and we'll introduce him once he pops in. So Mr. Dixon, what are you? Who are you? Where are you? What do you do?
Tell him how you got into comics, Chuck.
All the 4 W's.
Well, I'm in Tampa, Florida, and I'm the most prolific American comic book writer in comic book history. I've written thousands of titles. I was 11 years on Batman. I'm considered a seminal writer for The Punisher. I've written Conan the Barbarian, Moon Knight, Robin, Nightwing, SpongeBob SquarePants, G.I. Joe, The Simpsons, you name it. Yeah, I've been there and done it. So,
so what didn't you write?
I've never written any Disney comics. I think
Have you written for Image?
So
any Disney comics?
Have you written Image at all?
Well, one second.
Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff for Wildstorm back in the day.
Okay, one second. We're going to introduce Matt right here. Matt just got on. Mr. Matt Barr, how are you?
Good. How are you? What's up, fellas?
He finally got on here, and we want to share Mr. Matt's link for robo6.net. Here is his link. QR code him. Get to know who he is. Check him out. We're gonna introduce Matt after Chuck finishes his intro. I apologize, Matt. Please forgive us. We have to go live. So, Mr. Dixon, go ahead. I apologize. Let's go.
No.
Tell us what you have not written. It's obviously you said no Disney, right?
Yeah, I've never written Donald Duck. I did some Disney word books back when I was writing children's books before I got in comics, but no Disney comics. So I think that's the only franchise I haven't touched.
Wow.
Done everything else. So yeah, I got thousands of comics out there, and I've written I think 36 novels, and still plowing away, doing work for Rippaverse and your boy Zach, and true independence like that.
Wow. Can you write for us one day? Are you willing to write for us one day?
Why not? You bring up something interesting, we'll do it.
Yeah, definitely. We have our comic Super Black we're working on, but we want to do like alternate universes as well within our comic and start, getting something out there. Definitely. Matt. Yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to talk. Ben, don't forget to set this up,
Yeah, for sure.
Matt, talk to us. Where are you from? What do you do? So I said, where, what, where, what was it? Where, what, why, and when?
Where? Born and raised in Newport News, Virginia. Moved to New York City fairly early. I was 18. Went to SVA, School of Visual Arts, for a bachelor's in comic book illustration. I had Klaus Janson and I had a bunch of people. There was I had an amazing group of instructors at SVA, and I left there, realized how hard it was to get into comic books. So I started working in kitchens. So I was garde manger chef at the Russian Tea Room for a while in Manhattan.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and then I was drawing doodles of one of the hosts, right? Like he was just a weird looking fella, he looked like a little T-Rex. So I was drawing little doodles of him. Well, he was actually interning at ABC, and so then he got a job as a PA, and they were in a meeting, and they were like, "Yeah, we need somebody that could draw something. Who could we have? We need somebody that could draw something." And he was just like, "I know a guy," and that just I came in there with a portfolio that had like Daredevil and Batman, and it had all. I think I even was working off of one of Chuck's Detective Comics scripts.
Wow.
About a guy that had like a suit that like nullified sound or something. It was like,
yeah.
So I was used. So that was part of my portfolio, and like it was pretty good. It was a solid portfolio, but it wasn't quite there. You know what I mean? But like I took it into ABC Sports, and they just ate it up and was like, "Could you do storyboards? Do I have to be in a kitchen? No. Hell yeah, I can do storyboards. What else do you need? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that." And so, like, yeah, I just that was like, so I was just into pre-production like TV stuff, and that just like just escalated into other commercial art stuff for the last like 20 years.
Wow.
And so eventually I moved to Georgia, Athens, Georgia, and I was doing like collegiate football apparel designs. So like if you go into like Walmart or Dick's or like any of those like sporting goods stores, and you see like these illustrated things of like deer for like deer hunting and stuff, like I was doing stuff like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really kind of fun to like go into Walmart and like see your stuff. So so I was sitting there, and I was an art director, and I was just kind of like looking at these people's schedule, and I was like listening to your boy Zach's his videos, and one of them caught me when he was like, "Yeah, the Marvel that you want to work for is gone," and I was just like, yeah, that kind of caught me. You know what I mean? That was like yeah, you're right. Because like as a kid, I like really wanted to work at Marvel, and like I was like I paid attention to who all the characters were, because I was like, man, one day I'll be in the bullpen, and Stan will walk by and go, "Who's Speedball, kid?" And I'll have to like be and I'll be ready to like tell him, and I'll be able to draw whatever I need to. And so yeah, he was just like, yeah, that's gone. And so that kind of like really I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna work
Is
there.
that gone because Stan Lee died, or is it because
I think it's because
was that a factor point?
I think it's because, well, yeah, maybe, but I think it was going on before then.
Before then.
I think the writers and the editors don't see themselves as like stewards of the characters like the other editors did and writers did. Like I think you had like the creators, and they loved the characters, and then you had like people who knew them and worked with them and understood. So that was like the second generation of creators. So there's a connection. And then you had like the kids who grew up reading comic books, making comics. But now it's like there's not that connection. Now it's just like,
so there's no real passion with the characters.
I don't think so.
They didn't grow up with the characters.
I can't speak for everybody, but I think a lot of it is just like corporate moving up. Like, okay, I'll work over at this part of Warner, and then I'll move over here. I don't think there's like, I don't think they read the books. Like
they seem working at Marvel and DC as a resume enhancer. They're not lifers. They're tourists.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
you can't go, hey, like show me your long boxes to a lot of these people.
They wouldn't even know. Like, they would probably have you arrested for sexual harassment for that.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what a long box is. What is
what you put comic books in?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I have 2 long boxes right here. These are all stacks of comics. I've got 6 long boxes in my attic.
And there are short boxes for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. So then I was like listening to that, and then the next thing he was like, I'm looking for comic book artists who aren't afraid to like take the heat, And so I was like, because the last couple of comic books I had picked up, I was like, I could draw better than this, right? I was like hitting that point. I was like, this is not like the comic books I remember. Like these are kind of trash.
Uh-huh.
And then I heard that, and then I kind of like looked at the pile of like art director work that I had that like wasn't really creative. It was just like kind of overseeing other people's stuff, and I was just like, Yeah, I think I'm gonna contact this guy. And within 48 hours, like we were like talking about Rock and Roll Ninja, and we're like moving. I mean, it happened like pretty fast. It was like, hey, I'm Matt Barr. Here's my website. Here's some of my stuff. And then, it was just like a flurry of emails back and forth, and the rest is history. But
Richard moves fast.
yeah.
No grass growing under that guy's feet.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
It's
so do
awesome.
I. So do I.
Yeah.
That's what comics are. It's a raw medium. It's a guy writing, a guy drawing, and let's put on a show.
Yeah.
What is your feedback today in the industry about monetization of the comics, or in reality, how the comic industry is growing? Is it growing? Is it declining? What is your take on everything? Either one, Mr. Dixon, go ahead, shoot.
Well, it's growing for manga. It's not growing for anybody. Sure. It's not growing for anybody else. I mean, if you look at the market shares, Marvel and DC have they share 7% of the comic market. The next the biggest player is manga. And then after that is the book trade, which a lot of people that like mainstream comics, they ignore the book trade comics. The kids' graphic novels that sell at Sam's Club and stuff like that. And that's an enormous market that for some reason Marvel and DC not only didn't exploit, but didn't want to exploit. And I saw that happen. It's like, man, we can
tell me the difference. What's the difference between the book trade comic? What's the how do you explain the differences?
Well, it's a comic created by book publishers, and it's aimed at a different audience. It's aimed at libraries, and it's aimed at retail sales at places like Target, Walmart, Sam's Club, and kids see them at school book fairs, which is a major factor. And so it's an entirely different audience. And this is where kids see comics now. They used to see them on the newsstand, on the spin rack, at the drugstore or wherever, but they don't see them there anymore, so they don't even know they exist. The DC and Marvel left 2 generations of comic book readers behind.
Wow.
By specializing only in the comic book stores.
But maybe that's the reason why manga got a opening to come in, because there was no exposure for comics. They cut all exposure. I mean, I don't know if you noticed the last 2 news. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but this is very important to what you're saying. JCPenney and I think another company just merged. And then you have this other type of 3 apparel stores that also merged together.
Right.
So you're having these mergers because there's a decline, I guess, of exposure of product, right? People are not seeing the product the way you're saying that they're seeing it anymore, right?
Yeah, and the kids see the manga, and because they see anime, it leads to manga, and the other thing is that manga isn't. It's every genre you can imagine. If you like baseball, there's a manga for you.
Yeah.
Whereas with mainstream, and not even mainstream anymore, DC and Marvel comics, it's superheroes, and nothing but superheroes. If you don't like superheroes, then you don't like their comics. And they resist any effort to expand that audience.
Interesting.
Now DC has a little bit of horror stuff, but I don't know how far that goes because they've had
horror is the other one, but that's a lot of the companies, DC and Marvel never liked horror. They would just tolerate it because it's sold.
Interesting. I mean, I'm learning a lot here. I mean, honestly.
When do you think that happened with Marvel? So like in the 90s, and I mean, I felt like that was me as a teenager and all that. I felt like it was kind of a heyday for them, because they've had different owners, because KB Toys owned them, and that's when the Spider-Man cartoon out. So they made a bunch of toys of their characters. When do you think Marvel kind of,
Well, comics in general, the day that Denny O'Neil at DC retired, that was literally the end of an era. The next day, the whole comic book industry was different. And what happened was you had what I called lifers, the editors, the writers, the artists, they all got in the comics because they love comics and they're going to do comics to the day they died. And that's all they wanted to do. And they get replaced with a bunch of people that think, no, if I'll work here a couple of years and then get a job at Vanity Fair or MTV, and they were indifferent to the quality of the work. They didn't care. They had contempt for anybody that had any kind of enthusiasm for doing their job. And that's when the wheels came off. And then it created this vacuum, and that got filled in by, there's no other way to put it. It got filled in by the woke mob, third wave feminists and whatever, and they came in and saw this is a vehicle to promote our political agenda, and that was the end. That was the end. I mean, readers just had it. It's like, these aren't the characters I love. These aren't the comics I love. I'm being preached to, and the art sucks, the stories suck, and I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
it seemed like they were angling all the comics for like a new audience.
That didn't exist.
They what?
That didn't exist. They were trying to.
They did exist, but then they were also like kind of poo-pooing like all the people who had been buying the comics for the last 60, 70 years. Like, we're only looking for like bisexual Black people in wheelchairs for editorial positions. Like, no white supply is like.
Right, it's like the Budweiser debacle.
It was like they were aiming at everybody who lived below 14th Street, Manhattan. We'll get them to buy comics, and it's like, no, and you're turning off your core reader. And the whole history of comics is about listening to what your readers want.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you like Superman? We're going to give you some more Superman.
Well, I mean, you're talking about people not going after kids comics, and there have been a few kids comic things, but you see how they've run them into the ground. IDW lost My Little Pony. I mean, that's a fairly, I guess, steady to whatever degree. It's young girls, and then they get the guys that they call bronies. But I mean, they put somebody on it that was into S&M or whatever kind of stuff that you wouldn't typically think that's the type of person that you'd pick to write like children's comics. And I don't know how bad they got, but bad enough that they lost the license of something that I've heard of my entire life.
Right.
Yeah, that's super bizarre. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's for little kids. Like, why are you like making it a vehicle for your weirdness?
Doesn't make
not
sense.
even like judging your weirdness, but it's like there's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? Like something my dad says, like there's a time and place. Like My Little Ponies is like not for you. It's for little kids.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, make your own comic about that.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's what we see. It's like, I'm going to use Batman or Spider-Man as a vehicle for my views or sexual proclivities. And I was like, no, nobody wants that. Mm-hmm. It's about the character. I mean, I used to write long anti-gun screeds coming out of Batman's mouth. I'm a lifetime gun owner or NRA member, but Batman isn't. So Batman's not talking for me; he's talking for himself. So I've got to get in his head, present him the way he's supposed to be presented.
So people use
it's like every character speaks for them. It has to be them.
Well, the Punisher. People have tried to do things like with him that twists what he's supposed to be and change it into something else.
Right.
Wow, they really did him dirty.
I've never seen anything like that.
Wow, it was almost like a FU to all the military and police that were using the. Oh, you like that skull? Well, here's this insane story just to wrap it up. Here's his wife back.
Yeah, calling him a fool.
She has all the money and she's divorcing him, and all the kids are alive too. You're like, what?
Yeah. I've never seen them burn a fictional character down like that. I mean, that's a franchise. They just took to the landfill and tipped it in.
Yeah. I'd be like, that's could we do that? Yeah, editorial. Yeah, no. We're gonna be doing a TV show. Let's kind of like be chill,
Exactly.
If you want to like maybe go non-lethal with him, like he's gone non-lethal. He's had a talk with Captain America and he's going non-lethal. Like that's the challenge of the storytelling. I mean, I'm spitballing, but like that
would be a great story. And of course, he goes lethal at the end because he's the Punisher.
Yeah. I think at the end, he uses Captain's shield maybe just to prove a point of just like.
they had that video game where they put the ratings on it. You remember that? And it would do some kind of weird super close zoom in because you were killing people in graphic ways as the Punisher. Yeah. But no, I mean, hands down, if you were to say to me, like, who's your favorite Marvel character, it'd be Punisher. I like Death Wish and I like all that type of stuff. He's a good character. His family was murdered. He's hunting people down. It's really pretty cut and dry. It shouldn't be that hard to write. There's bad people and he feels like the world would be better if they were dead.
Didn't
like
he come
bad enough.
out around the Death Wish, like in the late 70s? Is that when
It was kind of born out of the men's adventure paperbacks, like the Executioner and the Liquidator and those kind of characters. Because he's like a direct imitation of the Executioner.
Stay right there. Hold on one second.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry.
Well, he was a Spider-Man villain too, initially, because he's trying to take out Spider-Man. That's where he popped up first.
Yeah, well, the readers felt. I remember I was buying comics back then. And we all just fell in love with this guy.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah. We want to see more of him.
Yeah.
So,
Who were we talking about? I'm sorry, I missed. I apologize.
the Punisher, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a Spider-Man bad guy, and then everybody loved him so much they brought him back as an anti-hero. So.
No, the Punisher had to be kept the way he was. That was his whole shtick. I mean, I don't get why they changed it. I think it was a huge dereliction of its of the brand itself. People are not realizing that each comic, it's a brand in itself. And
most people did not understand the Punisher, the simplicity of him, and in fact, they couldn't see the nuances beneath the simplicity. Totally eluded them. I remember an editor, when they ended the original Punisher run on his 3 comics, the new editor took over and asked me if I wanted to write the new Punisher. I said, well, how's he new? What's different? And so he doesn't kill people. He just maims them. And I said, how is that better? That seems sadistic to me. And I said, no, I'm no more Punisher for me.
And you know what's so funny? In manga, there's no woke manga. There is no woke concept in manga. There's no such thing. There's going to be gore. It's going to be whatever it is. They're going to be true to the character.
Yeah. And, if it gets all girly and everything else, well, that's that manga.
Right.
There's a manga for everybody.
Yeah. Well, Dragon Ball Z plays that duality, right? Where it's a little bit girly, it's a little bit fun, it's a little bit cute, but it's also jam-packed with action and fighting scenes. I mean, it's mixed up. Yeah. But people know that's what it is. That's what you're expecting. When you're watching The Punisher, you're expecting the guy to shoot up everybody that's, crossing his hairs. That's the reality.
Manga has some questionable stuff in it, but they don't change the characters. If it's a manga with a guy with a harem of women or with an overly sexualized young girl or whatever in it, they're still not murdering a franchise. They're making an original character, and it is what it is.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not taking Pokemon and have them go to an orgy. It's going to stay the same. And then we got this orgy comic you might want.
Oh, jeez. It's like, once you catch them, what are you going to do with them?
Gotta get them all.
All of them.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy one. Yeah, but definitely, I think they butchered. Disney has butchered a lot, and I think. But I think James Gunn is doing good in the movies. From what I see in the trailer, the new Superman trailer, I think it's more true to the comics themselves.
Well, Guy Gardner looks like he looks in the comics.
Well, I think he looks like a simpleton, but
he's got the bowl cut.
He's got the bowl cut, but it ends there. He kind of looks like a idiot. But they've always treated him like I always objected to the way they treated Guy Gardner.
Yeah,
they don't understand this guy. He's a slob.
It's a raw deal.
Yeah.
I'll wait to see. You know what I mean? Like we saw like behind the scenes where like the costume looked a little baggy. So who knows what it'll look like once he's
Yeah, it's true.
Up on the screen. Like they could have just completely done a CG redo of his body so it looks all nice and buff. Who knows? But I'll wait. I'll wait until.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Give them a chance, right?
So Matt, the last
why not? I mean, I was just like, what the hell with the Flash? I ended up watching that Flash movie like 2 or 3 times. I mean, the whole time I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Did you not like
I'm still watching it.
Did you not like the Flash?
There was parts of it. Like I'll sit there and like jam on stuff with anything.
There were a lot of parts.
I liked all the glass. Of course, I like the Batman. Of course, I like there's stuff I liked.
They did so much fanfare in the Flash. They gave you 3 different Batmans, and they ended with one that I absolutely hate, the George Clooney stuff. It was cool that it was George Clooney, but I hate his Batman movies. They had it starring the Batman that I grew up with. I also grew up with 66. But so I mean, I thought that was cool.
Then they showed Nicolas Cage, which is just
that was
whatever. You know what I mean? It's like
it was a neat little like quick scene or whatever. But I liked the dynamic of him and his mom, and and all that. But I thought that the story overall was pretty good. And then they had so many little like characters that they threw in for people that they were really trying to make you like that movie. And I think it's sad because supposedly that would have went over better in the box offices. They were going to do a Batman Beyond, which I love Batman Beyond, so long as they didn't like ruin it.
Yeah, it was an interesting movie. A lot of interesting choices were made with the story.
Yeah. Now,
I think they made a mistake, by the way. Just a side point. They overdid it with the multiverse nonsense. I'll be honest with you.
Well, they do in general, though. That's like the whole thing.
It was a CW success, but I think it was a disaster for a movie. Side point, my opinion.
I mean, watching it, it's like it's not too bad, but the whole time I'm watching, I'm kind of thinking about the dude, you know, the actor, you know, in his cabin with the guns and stuff. Like it's like it's hard to separate those. Maybe I don't know. Give me a couple of years and I'll watch The Flash. Right now, it's like pretty like that guy was trying to run a cult.
The last time that we were all supposed to get together, it didn't happen, and I had somebody write me some like private message. And Matt, they were really distressed because they had to know more information about Rock and Roll Ninja #2. And I just want to let you know that, like, before we started, I asked Chuck his favorite question of all time. I said, "Do you know anything about Rock and Roll Ninja?" And Chuck said, "Say it, Chuck."
I wrote it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he knows a little bit about it.
He knows a little bit.
When is that coming out, y'all? What's the plan for #2?
I'm hard at work on the script. I believe that the script is pretty much finished. So I'm just working on the pages, so that when it does launch, it's 95% done. You know what I mean? It'll be most of it'll be finished. That way, there's no wait.
Okay.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah. I'm cranking away on the pages. I'm loving it.
No, it was fun to work on. Trying to just describing the craziest stuff I could possibly imagine, and then Matt just delivered.
Okay. Yeah, and just oh man, it is fun.
Yeah. You obviously had a blast doing it. Oh,
So,
and on the first one, Richard and I went back and forth with a lot of rewrites and stuff like that because he gets these visions, and it's like sometimes I get a slightly different vision, but it's his deal. So it's like, no, I want to be on the same page with you. So it took us a while to get there, but we got there.
Yeah,
that first book is awesome.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
It's got high praise.
It was like, hey, do you want to start this other thing? I'm like, man, no, I just want to keep drawing my boys, man. I like them. I like them a lot.
Hey, Chuck. So, get the Horseman here.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. I was like, well, when it came out, I said, this is the Rip, and I read Alpha Core too. I've got that sitting right there. I said, this is the Rippaverse book of everything that they put out so far when the Horseman was coming out that speaks the most to me. That's like my type of character. It's a good story. And I'm like, I hope that they make more of them. Will they make more of them? And I guess the demand is so much that you're coming out with a Horseman #1. So this was like a standalone introduction to him. People have heard videos talking. I'm not wearing my spoiler alert hat. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but he does meet Alpha Core. He does go into Floor Spark, Texas, all that. He's coming back, I guess we could say, with a vengeance. Tell us about that. How many of those, like how often are you planning on coming out with them? What's the plan overall with Horsemen?
Well, basically, my job at Rippaverse is to keep Joe Bennett busy. So whenever Joe is getting to the last pages of whatever we worked on, I got to have something ready for him right away. So he's working on the first issue of The Horseman, which will be a follow-up to the graphic novel. And then my plan, and he's well into that with pencils. So my plan is to next month write the next one. So it's ready for him to go. And Horseman plays into Alpha Core 2, and he plays a major part in, an extended arc of stories in that universe. So he's a major player. But, stuff's going to happen with him you're not going to see coming, because I really wanted to. I've written so many of these mass vigilante and vigilante characters. I really wanted to stay in the genre on its head and do something different. And Eric's let me fly on it, and then I got Joe. So
I like that. So you've got Joe working on the Horseman thing, but you've also got multiple other comics coming out with them. Who's doing the artwork for that one about the war that was the separation or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I can't remember the artist's name, which I feel terrible about, but I can't remember his name. But yeah, we got these 2-part graphic novels, 2 graphic novels to go together. The War of Separation, which basically goes back a generation in the Rippaverse to show how we got to where we are now and why Texas is an independent nation of its own now, and all that stuff. And then in the middle of that, in the middle of those two, we have Zaylan, which is this cosmic character who will play a part in what's coming up as well. He's a major player, but that's drawn by Joe Bennett as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, the Rippaverse is doing a whole lot, and I mean, and I always give them like high praise. They're putting out new stuff, getting it to people. I've ordered things from them. They always get in a timely manner. They're packaged good.
It's a machine.
I mean, they're fantastic. I really like their stuff and everything that they're doing. And then when Eric puts out this video, he has all this stuff from you. He's got the Saska sisters working on like 3 different things. He's got Baron working on some stuff. He's putting out several different books. He's got like a heavy metal band of gods that have superpowers.
Yeah. North Africa, yeah. And like I was saying earlier, he listens to the fans. We love this character. We want more of that. Okay, we're going to give you more of that. It's redundant publishing. It's comic book publishing. It's what you do.
Question, Mr. Dixon, how did you get to where you are now? Like the 1,000 comic titles? I mean, like that's huge.
Well, when I got into business, I knew from watching other creators. I said I got a window, and if I can get a 5-year window in comics where the phone keeps ringing, I'll be in good shape. And it turned into like a 15-year window.
Wow.
And I just stayed busy. I kept my promises. I stayed ahead of schedule. I handed things in on time. I listened to what the readers wanted and how they were responding to the work. And just, throughout the 90s, I just, my family hardly ever saw me. I just worked my ass off.
Wow.
Producing material. But I loved every minute of it. I mean, I just couldn't stop coming up with ideas. So, and then, as long as I had editors who had faith in me, and Matt knows that's important. If you're working with people who have faith in you, you can do anything.
Wow. That's a great, by the way, that's advice for everybody, by the way.
And Benny, he knows his stuff. So Chuck has his own, I don't know if you call it a podcast or what, but the Ask Chuck Dixon, and he answers questions because you constantly got people in and around comic books that like have barely read comic books and they have opinions. How long and how many comic books have you been reading, Chuck? It's staggering.
What do you mean? How many have I written?
No, I mean like your knowledge of comics. I mean, you have read a ton of comics.
Oh yeah,
you're really down thick into it.
Yeah, I mean, when I got into comics, if you were a comic fan, it was kind of it was a subculture. The way sadly it is now, but it was the subculture of comic fans, and we all shared the same thing. We wanted to know everything about comics. We wanted to know back to day one. And you went back and you looked at the old newspaper strips from the 20s and 30s. I mean, you just wanted to know everything, just absorb it all. I just loved the medium. I mean, I love the characters, but I really just love the medium. And I think that's why I've had longevity. I never specialized. Like, I just write superheroes. I just write horror. I just write crime. It's like, no, I just write stories told in a sequence of static pictures. Throw anything at me. I'll turn it into a comic book.
Wow. What about you, Matt? How was the experience in your end? I'm sure you've done a lot in the years that you've been doing, right?
Comic books? Well, I only did like one comic book before I started working with your boy Zach. I wrote and illustrated a book for the United Nations.
Wow.
Yeah, they had like this I don't know, like for the year that it was like for the Sustainable Goals program that they were going on, and I got this character called Gridiron Green, and I like designed what he looked like. I got to like write it. It was very interesting. It was an interesting experience. They as a writer, writing for people who had a whole bunch of opinions, and like the emails would just get longer and longer. The people connected, it was like it was insane.
I was going to ask about that. You must have had a lot of input.
Yeah.
You could tell when you're reading the book, like I was like, okay, how old are the kids are gonna get this? Okay, because it was distributed by UNICEF, so they're like, okay, it'll be like 12. I was like, all right, so I'll play it like real like Stan Lee kind of rhymesy joking, you neon cucumber, I'll get you, very really simple stuff. And they were like, okay, could you add this in? And it would just be like these long paragraphs of like border disputes and all kinds of like insane stuff. And so I was like, okay. So, like the first like couple pages, like the word balloons are just huge. And I was like, I can't do this, man. I was like, I can't do this. And like I talked to my dad about it. And he was a fire chief at the time for military bases. And he was like, yeah, well, who's the boss? Like, who's the general? It's like, okay, well, just focus on his comments. If anybody else makes comments, don't just ignore them, because if they bring them up in a meeting, they're going to look weird. And I was like, okay. So I just started ignoring like anything from anybody who like wasn't my personal contact. And it was interesting, to say the least. It's online, I think, but
what's the name of it?
It's called Gridiron Green.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it was a learning experience all around, because I did like the post, like the pre-production for the printing of it. Like I was responsible for pretty much all of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was way different than working with Zach. All I had to do was like get the script and like draw it. Draw what I wanted.
Go nuts.
Yeah, just go nuts. Like there's a scene where I think Chuck just says like somebody's wearing a mask like Bane. Right? It was just like maybe one line, right? And I was just like, oh, okay. So like the page is just like a whole bunch of like S&M guys wearing like masks, and they're like fighting the guys off and stuff. I mean, it was just like I just was like going off of it. So, I was super excited, and I'm still excited because like look who I'm working with. It's pretty wild. So I love it. I love it a lot.
Have you ever read, just because you're saying that like UN stuff and doing the foreign stuff, have you ever read like North Vietnamese like propaganda comics and their cartoons? Have you ever checked? It's like a hobby. Have you ever seen those?
Not specifically. I haven't specifically gone after that, but like as a graphic designer, commercial artist, like I need to pull ideas, when I'm working on stuff, and I'm always like, oh, cool, Russian logos for cereal boxes. Oh, cool. So it's just just kind of like pulling from everywhere. Like I love National Geographics, like from the 60s and 70s, just for the illustrations. Like I love like mid-century advertising. Like, dude, I love all the illustration styles. So yeah, so I'm constantly looking, but I'll look up North Korean propaganda.
They have this awesome one cartoon, I forget the name of it, and the second season is like the best, and you can find YouTube videos about it. I forget. I think America might be the wolves. America and South Korea are the villains in it, but it doesn't come right out and say that. It's just like, if you know, you know. And I think maybe it's rabbits or something like that that's done. But so they've got the nice sunny hills with the flowers and all that, and everybody else is like pure absolute garbage. And they will win at all costs because they're the best. But it
sounds like Watership Down or something, or like...
it's awesome, man. I mean, just because it's just so thick, and it's just like, man, South Korea, dude, they do like a lot of work really good and cheap. I thought that their movie Red Shoes, it's essentially Snow White, only she's like obese, and then she's like trim when she puts on the shoes. So she's like hiding, who she is. It's cute.
They always got something. The Koreans
will never
do
fly.
Good movies, but there's always some weird little twist where you're like,
that will never fly in America, right?
No. You can watch it. You can watch it on like Tubi or whatever. But it's actually a good movie. It's kind of like Shrek-esque. And so the one like prince. They all got turned into these little like dwarf or whatever they are type guys. I think they're green or whatever. But anyway, she can see the beauty inside of him, and he can see the beauty inside of her, and they wind up together at the end. That's the happy story.
Mazel
You know,
tov.
he doesn't care that she's like a plus size model.
That's the lesson, right?
That's,
That's the lesson learned. Be obese.
It's all
That's
right.
what that's what we're learning from this.
It's more to love.
Oh boy. So I what do you guys think about the decline, if there is a decline in comic purchasing? I mean, I think there is a decline in general. I don't see people are buying comics like they used to. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Not standard DC Marvel,
Yeah.
IDW. That's over. That's finished. But manga's selling in the millions.
What about the indie comics that you guys are working on always?
Well, we're starting to see numbers, real
Oh,
numbers.
yeah? Okay,
I mean,
good.
these were boutique items. Let's be honest. For real super fans, and now we're seeing real numbers. I mean, Rippaverse is shipping, trade paperbacks. They don't do pamphlet comics. They do trade paperbacks, and they're shipping numbers that are commensurate with what Marvel and DC sell on a trade paperback. And these are brand new characters nobody ever heard. And they are going to a new audience because Eric has a new audience. He didn't just attach himself to the existing audience of comic book readers. He basically taught the people that were fans of him to love comics. Because when he first hired me, he's like, "Oh, your name on it's going to sell a lot." I said, "I don't know. My name on it's not going to sell a lot because most of your followers have no idea who I am. They don't know me. They don't know my history." I said, "You're going to have to teach them who I am." And, he did. And now Horsemen, Alpha Core did great, but the reaction to Horsemen has been huge.
So this is a good sign. If that means
very good sign.
That's a very good sign. I like that. I like that response, by the way. By the way, I think what it is people are just tired of DC already, probably, and Marvel.
Well, they're tired of what they've done. I mean,
yeah,
I'll never get tired of Superman or Batman.
Well, obviously,
but you can make me tired of them.
Right.
Yeah, it's cyclical, right? I'm just gonna wait. Eventually, somebody will get a hold of it that we love, and I'll like.
But by the way, you should know that DC and the Marvel, for some, we're cutting off, Matt, in the gaming industry is huge.
Yeah,
they're getting a lot of success stories because they're true to the characters in the games. By the way,
not in Kill the Justice League. That was a big flop and everything. I think that the reaction to Horseman was so huge because Punisher has this overwhelming following, and it's this notable thing that like the people writing at Marvel hated him and wanted to get rid of him. So you take this character that there's this huge demand for, and you know what business is, it's supply and demand. People want the Punisher. People want the Punisher. People want the Punisher. It's like, let's kill him or send him to another dimension or have his wife alive or say that he's some kind of let's do everything bad to this character to like bastardize him. That all these people love, that they're all about, that they think it's great because nobody else will stand up and fight these guys. So he does what needs to be done. Let's just get rid of that. And then when you come out with the Horseman, what was said was that he's like the Punisher, he's like Daredevil, and he's like Batman. 3 characters that are all like now extremely popular. Daredevil didn't used to be until Frank Miller. I got a hold of him, right? But I think that he said it was kind of like a lagging thing. But he became into this character that he's known for being, and they're all like street level characters, and it's kind of good because then he has real challenges and real obstacles. He's not just having everything bounce off of him.
Yeah, Eric had to make that animated trailer that showed awesome, brutalizing the bad guys. And I think that was 90% of why we sold so many copies.
It looked awesome.
We were like, okay, this character's for real.
I can see that being at Barnes and Noble, right? I mean, that's the goal, right? It's like
really definitely plans. All this crowdfunding stuff eventually has to go to retail. We have to actually, Richard and Graham Nolan and Rippaverse. I mean, they've all got to, crowdfunding is great, but it can't last forever. They got to move in and become real players in the retail space.
Is there going to be a movie or a video game for the Horseman?
He's got all kinds of plans.
Because I knew that he was talking with Dean Cain about voicing him and what have you. I think that'll be huge. And and I mean, and some things do go to video games first. In 2026, I think that I had just read that there's going to be a Bendy and the Ink Machine movie, which that's a video game. It's like a shock horror. What do you call it? In sepia tones video game that's all old school. He's the Ink Demon. And so he's this bad cartoon that's come into life and become this monster. And they've got several spin-off games, keep making more spin-off games. It's a very hot topic. I mean like the store. It's that type of thing. So it's kind of like boogery, but it's kind of cute. And it's done well enough that they're gonna do that. Five Nights at Freddy's. They've had a little thing.
I can see there being a Rock and Roll Ninja video game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like a side-scrolling kind of side-scrolling game. Like the Turtles game or the X-Men game,
like
where you're
Double Dragon type.
Yeah. Where it's like you and 3 other friends can play, and there's you're just kind of going to the right a whole bunch.
Yeah. Braining guys with guitars.
Exactly. And then there'll be like one level where you're just in silhouettes, and it's just this cool black and white silhouette. Like,
did you ever play the Simpson arcade game? I thought that was awesome.
The which game? I'm sorry.
The Simpsons, and it was like a fighting game like that.
Oh no!
Yeah, Marge would beat people with a vacuum cleaner.
I never saw. I saw the pinball game, but
that's an old game, by the way. That's an old game.
I love that.
Very old game.
Yeah, but it was that same type of game. You're side scrolling and you're going through the.
Yeah, those are by the way, those are Apple app games. Like those are games that you'll develop in the App Store.
Right.
And those games can be very successful.
Those are cash cows.
Nice and retro and cheap on the fly. And I'm not looking to make Grand Theft Auto.
No, you don't. You're not going to make a universe, but
a lot
of these games.
Epic Games called and was like, "Hey, we'd like to do some Fortnite skins." Dude, that would be sick to see Horsemen in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Pitch it. You guys should pitch it. You shouldn't hold back. Just send in a pitch.
Why not? Can't hurt.
Dude, everybody's in Fortnite at this point.
Did
not
you
just
see
Fortnite.
Did you see that Mike S. Miller did a redrawing of Horsemen last night? Did you see that, Chuck? Mike S. Miller made a redrawing of Horsemen on a live stream?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah. It's only available to subscribers because I saw that it was going on, and I thought I'll catch it later. And it's like if you're not subscribing, you can't see this, so you'll have to reach out to him. But he did that like he's always like, I'm drawing my rendition of this. He did Horsemen.
Yeah. Wow, cool. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to let him know I want to see that.
Yeah, there were some good ones on there.
So let's close out for today. Let's make another podcast in the future. But I want to close out with what's coming up next with you guys. So let's give Matt the what's up next with Matt. What are you doing? Where can people find what you're doing? Besides your website?
I'm on my channel a little bit, but right now I'm trying to focus on Rock and Roll Ninja. And when I'm not doing Rock and Roll Ninja, I'm trying to keep my hands busy with some sci-fi alien gobbledygook. So I'm just,
love it.
Yeah,
love it.
That's just keep it busy.
And Mr. Dixon, any new things that we can look forward for, that we can be something that we don't know about, like.
Well, as usual, I'm working on stuff I can't talk about yet because we're not in disclosure agreements. But March 28th, movie comes out based on my first Lee Von Cade novel. It's called A Working Man.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That trailer looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy about that, obviously.
There you go.
So that's like the big thing going on right now. But yeah, I'm writing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I just it's too early days to talk about it.
Wow.
I'm
we got to get you back for the stuff when they come out. We want to promote it for you. Yeah, definitely. And Matt, also, whatever you got ready, just keep us posted. We'll get you out and again on our podcast. This is awesome conversation. And I hope to have more of these conversations, right? And learn more about the comics and try to educate people how comic industry should actually be we should really tap into new IP. That's why I'm doing this also. That's why I said, Ben, we got to get comics. We got to get people on board because we got to build new IP. It's, is enough with the universes that we've been watching only for 30 years. Let's see other universes. Let's see other ideas, other storylines,
Right.
and that I think that's where my passion comes from. Like, let's learn about other universes that exist in this realm, in this, sphere of comics. So thank you for coming on board. And Ben, thank you for getting everybody on board. Ben is a star, by the way. Everybody use your QR code to get to Matt's website, to Mr. Chuck Dixon's website, and don't forget Ben's website. I mean IG over here. So everybody, I mean X.com actually. And if you want to book any podcast, if you're in the comic industry, hit Ben up with his X and the QR code. Ben, you want to say something?
Yeah. Next week we'll have Aaron Lopresti on.
Awesome. Very interesting.
Cool.
I don't know who he is, but we're gonna learn.
What? Oh man!
I don't know. I'm an amateur.
The Wraith of God.
He is so good. Yeah, he is really, really good.
Awesome, guys. No, I appreciate you guys being patient with a guy who was a novice like me. You know.
Well, it's cool. It's neat because you bring questions that fans won't ask. Because they already know.
Right.
Yeah, we just assume.
Right. So I'm trying to get people to just like join the comics in general. We created our own comic called Super Black. It's available on Amazon Print on Demand. We're doing a specialty hardcover. We're gonna probably do a sweepstakes. We're gonna send it all to Amazon on fulfillment, and we're gonna put maybe 4 comics with a ticket. You win the ticket, it's $1,000 right there.
Whoa.
So yeah, we're gonna do some kind of promo there. It's gonna be very, very interesting. We're working on our stuff, but definitely listen. We want to get people back into the comic world. I mean, I'm an X-Men guy. When I grew up, I was a Superman, more Batman than Superman guy. But I'm seeing now that for some reason the gaming industry is being huge when it comes to comics. They're creating video games, and then they create a comic within the video game. Download our comic. So it's like something I want to learn. I want to learn more about how the comic industry is working, the evolution of it, how is it being sold. Barnes & Noble's opening up another new 60 stores after closing how many for the past 10 years? They're now revitalizing themselves. They're reinventing themselves. They're being very successful now. So like, how do we maneuver this industry, and how do people discover what we create? So that's why we even started Ishook Comics, and we want to also support all the people in the comic industry. Go ahead.
Who I thought did fantastic with that early in on that, and you didn't really see it, I don't think, as much. But Mortal Kombat, when they started making the story mode, not only did you get the other outfits, but you could get all this, you could get like art and stuff like that. So you could have like comics or whatever that people earn as little stuff as they go on. Achievements. If you get these Steam games, a big thing with these Steam games is unlocking all the achievements. So people will play them again to unlock the achievements and all that. There's a reason why I know this.
Because you play it.
a few. But yeah.
All right, guys. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for joining us. And everybody, please subscribe. Please go to their websites. And QR code for Matt here. QR code for Chuck here. QR code for Ben here. And don't forget to get our Super Black comic. It's available in our description in YouTube and all our socials. Thank you so much, everybody. And